Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Mended Hearts podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm super excited to be able to start this podcast with you guys. And yeah, I'm just excited for this first ever podcast. I'm completely new to this, and I'm just excited to start this ministry and hope that it is a blessing and just brings you encouragement and joy to your journey wherever you're at. And that's really our hope for this podcast is that it would bring light and joy to your day, whether you're on the bus, whether you're taking a walk, whether you're having a harder day in the realms of OCD or anxiety or just anything in life right now. I just hope that it can be a time where we can experience fun and laughter and joy, and then you can also gain some insights and tips for your journey. And yeah, I'm just excited to dive into the first podcast with you guys today. Today, I'm going to be sharing my story, which I'm super excited about. And I think it's just a powerful testimony of God's goodness within my life. I think that God has, walked me through the fire within OCD, and it's been definitely the hardest battle of my own life. But I know that type of love and care that God has for me, that didn't leave me there, that He continued to pursue me, and He continued to help me to just see Him more clearly and to heal me through this disorder and through my stories. I hope that through listening to my story, that you guys are encouraged and that you guys would take something from it and that you would just be able to see God's goodness on display in my own life. And man, testimonies are powerful, right? I mean, literally in Revelation 12:11, it says um, that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony. So I'm just super excited, honestly, to share my testimony with you guys today and my story with OCD. So yeah, let's dive in. So about 3 years ago, the beginning of 2022, I got diagnosed with OCD. And I remember it was around Christmas time, um, and I just started having really bad anxiety attacks. I didn't really know what it was, so kind of a backstory of my story within growing up and everything. Like I didn't really have, any sort of mental health struggles or anxiety or anything. I lived a pretty normal life. Um, I, played sports. I had a friend group, and we had a lot of fun together, and it was just awesome. I didn't really have a lot of hard struggles or trials in my life, and I didn't really know the Lord to have a true relationship with Him during like high school and everything. But it was still, um, yeah, it was just definitely caught me off guard when I started struggling with OCD because of how intense the anxiety was and how much I've never experienced that in my entire life. So obviously that's going to cause me to you know suffer and to not really know what's going on and to have something like OCD debilitate me. So yeah, beginning of December or end of December after Christmas, I started having anxiety attacks. I didn't really know what was going on, and I just remember I started like having sleepless nights. I started developing really bad insomnia, and that was really hard because I was like, sleep is so valuable, and I used to be able to sleep, like 12 hours a night and just be totally okay in that area too. So all these things were just coming at me, and I was just so confused. And this is coming right after I started a real relationship with God, and after I started like falling in love with Jesus, and I was just on fire for Him, and I just wanted to share Jesus with people. So this was like definitely like, well, what the heck is this? Like, what is? I know that like Jesus promises trials, and Jesus promises that we will have suffering in this life, um, but He also promises to not leave us there. So I was just confused and like didn't really know what was going on. I thought this was not part of maybe the Christian life, the Christian walk that should be always uh, just having joy and experiencing super soundness of mind and confidence. But this was the complete opposite. And for those of you that have OCD, you know exactly how I feel that this disorder really takes over your life. And um, so, yeah, this kind of went on for about really 4 or 5 months of intense, suffering from OCD. Um, I remember starting in January of 2022. I just continued to not really know what was going on. There were all these crazy thoughts going through my head intrusively, and I would literally spend hours on end just ruminating inside my head, ruminating on the same thing, the same thought over and over again, trying to figure out with 100% certainty the future, what was going to happen, and just all these different things that OCD attached to. And yeah, it was debilitating. I mean, and this really lasted for yeah, like 3 or 4 months after that of really intense, hard suffering, and just countless sleepless nights. I remember I was getting like 1 to 2 hours of sleep a night, and I was just super anxious the whole night, so I couldn't sleep. And then I developed OCD around sleep and insomnia, and that made it 10 times worse because I just couldn't even, you know, basically function each day. I was like just struggling to even get to class. I was in college. I was a junior at college during this time, so it was like impossible for me to actually like get to class. Um, and be present there and to have good grades and do all these things. But by the grace of God, I did not end up making it through that year and graduating a year later. And man, I look back and just see God's amazing grace and love over my life within those few months because that was just intensely hard. And that's not the end of my OCD journey because I'm still honestly on my OCD journey, as we all are. We'll probably be on this journey for the rest of our lives. So yeah, where was I at? I knew I was gonna forget during this story, but um, yeah. So February, March. I feel like January through April, May of 2022 was just super hard. Sleepless nights, ruminating inside my head. Thought I was gonna have to drop out of school. I remember so many nights just calling my parents, calling my girlfriend at the time, and just man, I was just so broken and I was so lost. I thought I was completely crazy because all these things are coming inside my head. And for me, it's like, man, I was like the cool guy in sports or whatever who, played sports in high school, had a friend group, a pretty popular friend group in high school. And, like this type of stuff, just doesn't happen to me. That was my mindset, right? I was like, I'm invincible. I'm, 21 years old or whatever. And like, this would never happen to me. I'm on fire for Jesus now. And like, all these different things, man. And yeah, but then this happened, and obviously, like, yeah, this was intense for me. So going into, uh, yeah, following my junior year of college, which ended in about April, May. I didn't really, I was still really struggling, and um, I knew that I needed help. And I remember this one night. Um, sorry, I keep on losing my train of thought. Um, I remember this one night. That I was like, oh, here we go, going to bed again. I would go to bed super early because I would like try to catch up on sleep and try to force myself to sleep, which didn't work at all, looking back at it and just seeing the things now. But um, yeah, I remember just going to bed one night and like just having the thought that I was just completely crazy, that I was never going to be normal again, that I was never going to be able, to get married and have kids and have a normal life, and I was never going to be able to have fun again and joy because I was literally like joyless for like 4 or 5 months of my life, and you know, uh, it was like there was like a wall between me and everybody else was living their life, and I was just there. And I would go and do things, and I was involved in the campus ministry, and I would, go and to the ministry nights and the worship nights and try to be present, but really I was just stuck inside my head and stuck to my anxiety and a slave to the fear that OCD was giving me through the intrusive thoughts and um, through the compulsive behaviors and the ruminating and everything inside my head. So yeah, I mean, it was debilitating. Yeah, but I remember this one night, and I always like telling this story because this is like just such a transformational journey that God took me on, just a transformational moment, honestly, that God really just showed me His love and His grace. Um, but I remember, yeah, thinking I was crazy, uh, and thought I was gonna have to go into like a mental health like home for a little bit because I was like I literally can't function. Like this is so hard, and I had such an immense amount of shame and guilt around that, and I did not want to do that. So I was like super prideful and like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. So anyway, short story short, long story short, um, I woke up the next morning and my sister actually sent me a video on OCD. And at this time, like I had no idea I had OCD. I guess I didn't mention that, but I thought I was just having super bad anxiety and just thought I was crazy and these all these thoughts and panic attacks and everything that was going on. I literally had no idea what OCD was. I've heard of it before, but I just always assumed OCD was the stereotypical, oh, you like things in order and you like things a certain way, and it's like a good trait to have sometimes because it's like, oh, then things are look good and they're clean and everything, and I'm like, that's not at all what it is. um but yeah, and then I literally watched this video, and it was by Mark DeJesus. I'm sure you guys know him if you are tuning in to this video and like similar content. But he had a tremendous impact on my journey, which I guess I'll share a little bit more about. But yeah, like I watched this video, and for the first time in like 4 or 5 months of debilitating OCD and sleepless nights and all these things, like I felt like I felt like I was finally not alone. Like I felt like I finally understood, and I finally knew at least a little bit of something that was happening, inside my head and inside my mind. And at this time, I was like, oh my gosh, I watched this video. Like I'm gonna be free in like 3 days. That was my mindset because it was like, oh, I know exactly what's happening now, so that means I can heal and be free, and like I never have to deal with this again. It's just a short time of my life, and I can just forget about it all, that it all happened, and go back to normal. And that was definitely not what God had for me. I wish it was like that, but also not, because I wouldn't have learned and experienced God so much in amazing ways. So yeah, after that happened, man, I was just like telling everybody that was close to me, like I watched this video and I have OCD. Like I knew exactly what it. I started doing a bunch of research on it and started learning more about it. Started trying to apply some of the things that I was learning online. Um, but really, this was a turning point where God showed me His grace and was saying, like, when I was at the end of myself, right? When we're in the hardest, darkest moments and times of our life, like God showed me His love and grace to show me just a video on YouTube that would spur me on to my healing journey, and to help me understand who He was and strengthen my relationship with Him in ways that I can never possibly imagine. I mean, that video literally changed my life, and after that, I started watching Mark DeJesus all the time, listening to his videos, because he just had such a calming voice and presence. And yeah, I was just super encouraged by him in my journey, and yeah, he's awesome. Shout out Mark. But anyway, yeah. So moving forward in my journey and everything, just over that summer in between my junior and senior year, of college, I started like just listening to more videos, and I ended up actually going to therapy to see an ERP and therapist, or an OCD therapist. And I started, like researching like ERP, or acceptance and commitment therapy, exposure response prevention, or the gold standard treatment for OCD. So really, I wanted to get that right away, and I was like, I need this, I need this, I need this, because I want to heal right away, and just put OCD behind me so I never have to deal with it again. And um, yeah, God continued to slow me down, to continue to show me that I need to have a journey mindset, that this is not going to be some overnight type of healing journey, that I'm going to have to, um, you know, really take my time on this and let Him heal my heart, because I just wanted my mind healed. I just wanted these thoughts and these anxiety to go away. But God wanted to heal my heart, and I had to recognize that, and I had to know that in my life. Um, so yeah, I mean, I went to therapy. I learned about ERP, which is very helpful, and I believe fully in the power of it, and acceptance and commitment therapy and exposure response prevention, and the things that they did. It helped me really, yeah, just learn and understand more about what OCD actually is, and how to, uh, battle through it, and how to overcome it, which was really helpful. Um, but yeah, then after that, I went to therapy, and I was like, oh, that helps some and everything. And I was still struggling some, but I felt like God just continued to heal me in layers, throughout my journey. And I just kept on learning more and more and more. And, when you do compulsive behavior for so long, really, um, your brain is adapted to that. And like that's its first response for everything. So it really takes time, and it takes a journey of continuing to learn and to grow um, through that. And um, yeah, just I had to just remember that uh, God wants to take me on a journey of learning about His grace and His love, and His mercy throughout this whole time. And I had to know that it wasn't just about going to therapy and and healing from OCD and just learning all the concepts, and then being free from that. Like I had to remember that God wanted to take me on a journey of growing with Him, and growing my relationship with Him, so that I could be effective for His kingdom. And He wanted me to show me that He wants to build my character through this, that He doesn't just want to show me, ERP or ACT or whatever therapeutic technique that he actually wants to heal my heart. So, uh, yeah, um, yeah, and ever since that, really, I mean, it's been a journey. I mean, I guess what is it? Almost 2 years later now since I watched that video. I guess yeah, over 2 years later now since I watched that video, and I'm still on my healing journey. There's definitely like different things that OCD attached to within that timeline. Whether there's so many different subsets of OCD that you can get caught up on, and really, um, I don't like to get caught up in those subsets because like it's all the same in reality, and it's all treated the same, and it's all getting to the reality that it's not just about our minds being healed, but it's about our hearts being healed and God wanting to renew our identities in Him, because that's really what OCD tries to do and tried to do in my life. It tried to take uh, tried to focus on everything that was super important to me, and uh, try to focus on everything that was my identity with Christ, and things like, having a rejection mindset and a fear, these deep core fears that God really wanted to heal my heart of, so that I can know and receive His love in deeper ways, and that He would continue to pursue my heart in that way. And I was, um, and I'm grateful for that, honestly. Like as much as I wanted OCD to just go away, like now looking back at this, and now that I'm able to walk with power, love, and a sound mind, and just see the goodness of God in my life the last couple of years, and the ways that He continued to pursue me, and I would just get healed in layers and layers and layers, and I would continue to have more peace and more peace and more peace, and I would continue to learn more and to heal more and to receive more, and get help from friends and be encouraged by my now wife, and um, just so many things that helped me on my journey in the last couple of years. But I just had to remember that God wanted to heal my heart. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at today. And now this is why I'm starting Mended Hearts Ministries, because I have such a passion for people who are still struggling. I know an extensive amount about OCD and the ways it tries to infiltrate our lives. And that's why I want to give back and to be able to start this ministry, to be able to do one on one coaching to help anybody who is still struggling with this disorder and is still living as a slave to fear, to know that they don't have to live like that. I believe everybody's on their own timeline, everybody's on their own journey, um, but we all, as believers in Christ and followers of Christ, do not have to live as a slave to fear, and God wants to heal our minds and our hearts. So we have to recognize that, and we have to be willing to say yes, like God, I'll do whatever it takes. Teach me what I don't know. To be able to pray hard prayers and be like, God, like I will experience whatever anxiety, whatever fear, whatever things you want me to fear, as if it means I can have my life back. If it means that I can have joy again. If it means that I can have fruitful relationships again. If it means that I can just be effective for His kingdom again, because God wants us to be effective and living with complete confidence in our lives, so that we can, actually go and have meaningful relationships and care for people well. Um, so yeah, there's a few verses along the way that I just helped me in my journey, and that I was super encouraged by. Um, and when I was going through things, and I'm still super encouraged by them, that speak to me, and I believe they speak to the heart of OCD and the heart of the Father that God has, the heart that God the Father has for you and has for me. So, um, the first verse is 1 John 4:19, and that says, "We love because He first loved us." And really, this verse had just such an impact on my life. I mean, I had to, I always knew that God loved me and stuff, but like my type of love and relating to Him, was always just focused on, um, was always just focused on, me pouring out to other people and me doing this for other people, but it was never focused on the reality that God loved me. God loved me as a son. God loved me as His precious son, that He tells me I am approved by Him, and I'm a fearfully and wonderfully made, and all these things. So I had to learn how to receive God's love, and realize that I get to love people because He loved me first, that He went to the cross, died, and rose again. God sent His Son to do that, all because He loved me. And I had to learn how to receive His love, through just sitting with Him, meditating on His Word, nurturing myself through, little things like going on walks and being kind and compassionate towards myself, and really learning how to lead myself before I could go and lead others and love others. So the second verse I have, which is on my website, and just super passionate about this verse too, is Romans 8:15, and that says that gotta remember now. For we have not received the spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but we have received the spirit of adoption, by whom we cry, Abba, Father. And really, that verse, man, that verse just wrecked me. Like that verse changed my life to just know that like God has not given me a spirit of slavery to fall back into OCD, because that's what OCD is. It's fear, and He didn't give me a spirit of slavery to fall back into that. And that doesn't mean we're gonna be perfect and just be completely healed. And we can distort what that verse means. It's like, oh, like I'm never gonna have anything hard or OCD symptoms or anything or fear in my life ever again. Like, no, that's Him reminding us that we don't have to live as slaves to fear, that we might struggle sometimes, but we don't have to live as a slave to that where it's debilitating and it's taking over our lives and our ability to be effective for His kingdom. And just the reality that we're adopted into His family as sons, as daughters. And I had to learn how to be a son. I had to learn how to experience sonship in Him and really understand that and know that for myself. And um, by whom we cry, Abba, Father. And I think that last part is so important. I mean, I had to learn how to relate to God as a father, to God as a dad, to God as someone who cares for me so deeply, who cares for the little parts of my life as much as the big parts of the life, and just wants to nurture my heart, wants to know me intimately, and He just loves me because He loves me because He loves me. He loves me with an unconditional love. And I had to learn how to receive that in my life because I think I had a different way of relating to Him, and it was more of a performance mindset. And I still struggle with performance mindset, and that's an ongoing battle, that you have to continue to work through. It's just reminding yourself that you're a son, that you're a daughter, that you're not a slave to fear, um, and that God is your Father, and He loves you as a child. So the third verse is 2 Timothy 1:7. This is, for you have not been given a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. And really, when I think of that verse, I think of power, I think of as confidence in the Lord, as boldness, as courageousness, as God's given us a spirit so that we can share our faith, that we, in the midst of fear and anxiety, that we can have power, that we can speak with truth and love and in His word, so that we can be effective for Him. Um, and love, I mean, love is mentioned a million times in the Bible, and it's the most important essence of our relationship with God. It literally says that God is love. So I think that's just really important when we look at that verse is like God has given us love so that we can love ourselves and love others through that love. And a sound mind, or another version say self-control. I think that's important in saying that in our minds, like God doesn't want us to be living in compulsive rumination and all these things that are creating tension and stress and pressure inside of our hearts. He wants us to live with a sound mind, with a mind that is clear and free and is able to speak clearly and to think clearly and to, um, maybe have anxiety or fear or thoughts that are going through you, but you're not ruminating on those thoughts. You're not compulsively letting go. You're practicing mindfulness within those thoughts and going through them so that you can have a sound mind and be present where you're at. Because that's really what OCD wants to take you is out of the present and out of being able to experience the present. So um, the last one is Exodus 14:14, and I think this such an important one for my journey. And that says that um, the Lord will fight for you, and you shall be still, or you shall hold your peace. And I like that version of holding your peace really because I think that kind of encompasses what it means to live with OCD. I mean, we have to practice this. We have to practice the reality of living with power, love, and a sound mind, but also holding our peace and not letting thoughts that come into our mind steal our peace. That we need to learn how to just sit with them, sit with the anxiety, and keep moving forward, and accepting them and committing to living our lives to holding our peace so that we can honor God and that we can continue to just be present in relationships. So yeah, that's all I got, guys. That's my story. That's my heart. I hope that you guys were encouraged by this story. I hope that you can go out from this place and just be impacted by the testimony of God's goodness within my life. And I pray that you know that you, wherever you're at on your journey, whether you're in the deepest, darkest of waters right now and you're battling OCD and it's just debilitating and you've been maybe battling it for years and years and you just feel like there's no way out, I would just pray that and encourage you to just pray to God that God, you can heal me and I will do whatever it takes. And just have that mindset. Get help, get coaching. I would love to work with you. There's other people, therapists out there that would love to work with you, encourage you on your journey. But take a step. You know, God's love meets us where we're at, but it doesn't keep us there. It keeps us moving forward, progressing, healing, and that's His heart for us. He wants us to live as healed and free. So, um, yeah, if you guys want to work with me, and I do one-on-one coaching, and I also do this podcast and other social media insights and tips. So tune into Men and Hearts Ministries on all platforms, and you can apply for coaching on my website. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. You are loved. I hope this brought light and joy to your journey wherever you're at. See you later.